The massive space station hung like a gleaming jewel against the darkness. Ambassador Frank Miller looked out the window of the small Earth ship as they approached. His heart beat faster. This was mankind's first step into the greater universe. "Nexus Station Control grants you permission to dock," said the voice over the comm system. It sounded bored. Frank straightened his tie and nodded to his team. "Remember, we represent all of Earth today." The Earth delegation stepped off their ship into the alien docking bay. Strange smells filled the air. Beings of all shapes moved around them. Some had too many limbs. Others floated rather than walked. A tall blue alien with 4 arms approached them. "I am Kuriza, Junior Protocol Officer. Follow me to the waiting area." The alien did not offer to shake hands or help with their bags. Frank and his 5-person team followed Kuriza through winding hallways. Other aliens stopped to stare at them. Some made sounds that seemed like laughter. "Do not touch anything," Kuriza said over his shoulder. "The council will see you when they are ready. It may be several hours." It was 8 hours before they were called. 8 hours sitting in a small room while aliens passed by the clear walls, pointing at them like animals in a zoo. Lieutenant Olivia Wright, the security chief, leaned close to Frank. "Sir, I don't like this. They're treating us like children." "Stay calm." "Right," Frank whispered. "We knew this might not be easy." When they finally entered the great council chamber, Frank felt small. The room was huge, with seats rising up in circles. 23 different alien species sat in those seats, looking down at the humans. High Commander Vexlora, a tall reptilian being with silver scales, spoke first. "The representatives from Earth may approach the center." Her voice needed no amplification to fill the chamber. Frank led his team forward and bowed slightly. "Honorable members of the Galactic Council, we come in peace and friendship. Earth is honored to—" "Yes, yes," interrupted a purple-skinned alien with bulging eyes. "We have read your transmission. You seek trade and alliance. Most new species do." Frank continued, "Earth has achieved faster than light travel only recently, but we bring many valuable—" A harsh laugh cut him off. A red-skinned alien with sharp teeth stood up. "The humans think they are special. They have barely left their own star system, yet they speak of valuable contributions." Many council members joined in the laughter. Frank felt his face grow hot, but he kept his expression neutral. Vexlora raised a clawed hand for silence. "Ambassador Miller, I am Vexlora of the Araxian Empire, Council Chair. Your enthusiasm is noted. However, Earth must first prove its worth through the civilizational trials before we discuss any form of membership or trade agreements." "What trials?" Frank asked. "A series of tests to determine if your species is truly ready to join galactic society," Vexlora explained. "Most new species require decades to pass them." In the back of the human group, Olivia watched the council members carefully. She noticed how some exchanged glances when Vexlora mentioned the trials. She saw small gestures passed between the Araxian and the sharp-toothed alien who had laughed. Something wasn't right. "We accept these trials," Frank said firmly. As they left the chamber, a small green alien approached them. "I am Teller, of the Tellurian Confederation. Do not be discouraged. The Council treats all new species this way at first." "Thank you for your kindness," Frank said. Back on their ship, Frank gathered his team. "Well, that could have gone better." Olivia spoke up. "Sir, I noticed something strange in there. Several council members were sending signals to each other when they thought we weren't looking. I think these trials might be rigged against us." Frank sighed. "I suspected as much. But what choice do we have?" "We can show them exactly what humans are capable of," Olivia said quietly. Frank nodded. "Send a message to Earth. Tell them we're going to need our best people for what comes next." 6 months passed. Earth failed the first 2 trials. The Council claimed Earth's technology was too primitive and their diplomatic skills too aggressive. Now they faced the 3rd trial. Colonel John Hayes stood on the surface of the uninhabited planet Xeris, looking at the barren landscape around him. Earth had to defend this worthless rock against simulated attacks using only the weak weapons the Council allowed. "This is a joke," said Lisa Garcia, his communications expert. She kicked at the dusty ground. "These weapons couldn't stop a high school soccer team, let alone whatever they're going to throw at us." John nodded. "They want us to fail, but we won't." 20 soldiers from Earth stood ready. They were the best Earth had to offer. Back home, nations that once fought each other now worked together to pass these trials. Everyone knew what was at stake. A small alien ship landed nearby. 3 council observers stepped out. One was the red-skinned alien who had laughed at humans during the first meeting. His name was Zex, from the Xeraxian Empire. "Colonel Hayes," Zex said with a sharp-toothed smile, "the trial begins in 6 hours. Your weapons are in those containers. The attackers will come from the north. Good luck." He said the last words like they were a joke. After the observers left, John gathered his team. "Forget their rules. Forget their weapons. We're going to win this our way." The team worked quickly. They studied the terrain. They found a narrow valley the attackers would have to pass through. They dug trenches. They set traps. They took apart the council weapons and rebuilt them differently. Lisa worked especially hard. She found a way to connect Earth's communication systems with the alien tech. "Sir, I can now track their movements long before they reach us," she told John. "Perfect," John said with a smile. "Now we can control when and where we fight." When the attack came, it was worse than they expected. Not simple robots, but advanced battle machines. They moved fast across the dusty plain, weapons ready. The council observers watched from a safe distance. "The humans will be defeated within minutes," Zex said, sounding pleased. But something unexpected happened. The humans weren't where they were supposed to be. The battle machines reached the defense point and found it empty. "Where are they?" one observer asked. The answer came quickly. From hidden positions in the valley, the humans attacked. They used the rebuilt weapons in ways the Council never imagined. They set off traps that caused rock slides. They used the planet's strong magnetic fields to disrupt the machine's systems. Lisa's communications hack let them know exactly when each wave of attackers would come. They were always one step ahead. In the command center, John directed his troops calmly. Just like the Battle of Thermopylae, he told his second-in-command, "A small force can be a larger one if the terrain works in our favor." By the end of the day, the humans hadn't just survived. They had destroyed every attacking machine without losing a single soldier. The council observers stood in shocked silence. Finally, Zex spoke. "This must be some primitive luck. Nothing more." But one of the other observers, a tall blue alien, seemed thoughtful. "Or perhaps we underestimated them. These tactics, I've never seen anything like them." "Luck or not," the third observer said, "they passed the trial." Back at their camp, the Earth team celebrated quietly. John received a message from Ambassador Miller. "Excellent work, but be careful. The Council is already changing the rules again. They're adding a 4th trial that no one has ever faced before." Lisa looked worried. "They'll never let us win, will they?" John shook his head. "Maybe not, but we'll show them what humans can do, trial after trial, until they have to respect us." That night, as the team rested, the council members held an emergency meeting. Several representatives were upset. How had primitive humans passed a test designed to be impossible? Others were curious. What other surprises did these humans have? For the first time in many years, the mighty Galactic Council felt uneasy. Earth passed the 3rd trial. News traveled home, and people celebrated. But the joy did not last long. The Council suddenly announced new requirements. 4 more trials instead of just 1 more. Ambassador Frank Miller sat in his small office on the Nexus station. His face showed his anger. "They keep moving the finish line," he said to his team. "Every time we succeed, they change the rules." A message came through on a secure channel. It was from Commander Greg Nelson of Earth Intelligence. His face looked serious on the screen. "Ambassador, we have a problem," Greg said. "Our outer mining colonies in the Centauri system report strange ships. They're taking our resources. We have proof they belong to council races." Frank felt cold anger growing inside him. "Send me everything you have." 3 days later, Frank stood before the Galactic Council again. This time, he did not bow. "Members of the Council," he said in a strong voice, "Earth demands an explanation. Your ships are stealing resources from our colonies." The council chamber grew noisy as members talked to each other. High Commander Vexlora raised her clawed hand for silence. "Ambassador Miller," she said smoothly, "these are serious claims. Do you have proof?" Frank sent the evidence to the main screen. Pictures showed Xeraxian ships taking minerals from Earth's mines. Videos showed Araxian crews on planets that belong to Earth. "This is an act of theft," Frank said. "We demand it stops immediately." Vexlora looked bored. According to Council Law Section 47, undeveloped worlds have no property rights beyond their home system. Earth is still an undeveloped world until you pass all trials. Frank couldn't believe what he was hearing. "That's not fair. Those are our colonies." The sharp-toothed Zex laughed. "Fair? The galaxy isn't fair, human. It belongs to those strong enough to take what they want." Frank looked around for support. His eyes found Teller, the small green alien who had been kind to them before. "Teller, your people said you would help us. Will the Tellurian Confederation speak for Earth?" Teller looked down, avoiding Frank's eyes. "I am sorry, Ambassador Miller. We have signed a separate agreement with the Araxians. We need those resources too." Frank realized then that Earth had no allies here. They were alone. "This meeting is over," Vexlora announced. "Earth may continue with the trials, or they may leave Council space. The choice is yours." Frank and his team left the chamber in angry silence. Back at their quarters, they prepared to return to Earth. This insult could not stand. But when they reached their ship, they found it wouldn't start. The engines had been damaged. Chief Engineer Paul Bennett looked at the broken parts. "Someone sabotaged us, sir. We're stuck here." Frank tried to call for help, but the only Earth ship in the sector was the U.S. Defiant, commanded by Admiral Kate Peterson. When Frank finally reached her, her face was grim. "Ambassador, we received your distress call, but the Council has issued a warning. If we approach the Nexus without permission, they will consider it an act of war." Lieutenant Olivia Wright watched the aliens passing by their docking bay. Some looked at the humans with pity, others with amusement. She thought about Earth, so far away and in danger. "They think we're trapped," she said quietly to Frank. "They think we're helpless." Frank nodded slowly. "Then they don't know much about human history. When backed into a corner, that's when we fight hardest." On Earth, President Alan Cooper received the news of what had happened. He called an emergency meeting of the United Nations. Representatives from every nation gathered to hear the truth. The Council wasn't testing Earth. They were playing with Earth, like a cat with a mouse. They were taking what they wanted while making humans jump through hoops. President Cooper stood before the world's leaders. His face showed determination. "We came to the stars in peace," he said. "We offered friendship. In return, we got mockery and theft. It's time to show the galaxy what happens when you push humans too far." All around the world, military bases received new orders. Operation War Drum had begun. The large room was silent as President Alan Cooper finished speaking. Every world leader watched on screens. Some looked afraid. Others looked angry. All of them understood what was happening. "The Galactic Council is not our friend," President Cooper said. "They lie to us. They steal from us. They laugh at us. Today we must decide. Do we bow down, or do we stand up?" The vote took less than 10 minutes. For the first time in human history, every nation agreed. Earth would prepare for war. "Operation War Drum begins now," President Cooper announced. But we must be smart. We can't let the Council know what we're doing. Around the world, factories changed what they made. Shipyards built new vessels in secret underwater bases. Soldiers trained day and night. But officially, Earth was just improving its defenses, nothing more. On the Moon, Dr. Sam Rodriguez worked with little sleep. His team at Lunar Research Base had a breakthrough. "We can make shields that change to block different weapons," he explained to military leaders. "The aliens won't expect it. They think we're still using simple metal armor." Before, his project didn't have enough money. Now, he had all the resources he needed. Workers built new labs. Scientists came from every country to help. Dr. Rodriguez looked at his computer screen late one night. Test results showed the shield working better than he hoped. He thought about his family back on Earth, about his children who might grow up in a galaxy that hated humans. "We'll be ready," he whispered to himself. Meanwhile, at the Nexus station, Lieutenant Olivia Wright made new friends. Not all aliens liked how the Council treated Earth. Some smaller alien races had similar stories. The Council had bullied them too. Olivia met secretly with a blue-skinned alien named Creel. He worked as a cleaner but heard many secrets. "Your people aren't the first to be treated this way," Creel told her in a quiet corner of the station. "The Vexenaire were destroyed when they complained too much. The Jopari were forced to give up 3 planets. No one fought back. Everyone was too afraid." "Humans are different," Olivia said. "We don't give up easily." Creel's 4 eyes blinked in surprise. "You would fight the entire Council. That's never happened before." Olivia smiled. "There's a first time for everything." She built a network of helpers from different races. They passed messages. They shared maps of Council space. They told her which Council members might secretly support Earth. Back in the Sol system, Admiral Kate Peterson prepared her small fleet. She had 12 ships, not enough for a real war. But Earth's shipyards were building more every day. Kate looked at the latest intelligence reports. The Council was sending a diplomatic delegation to Earth. 12 warships would arrive in 3 months. "They're not coming to talk," she told her officers. "They're coming to show force. To make us scared." Her second-in-command asked, "What are our orders if they attack?" Kate's face was serious. "We fight, and we show them what humans can do." On Earth, special training centers taught pilots how to fly the new ships. Engineers improved weapons based on what they learned from alien technology. Farmers grew extra food for storage. No one talked about what was happening. No news reports mentioned war. Earth looked peaceful from space, but underneath it was preparing. President Cooper met with Colonel John Hayes, the hero from the third trial. They walked through a hidden base deep under the Rocky Mountains. "Will we be ready in time?" the president asked. John looked at the massive factory floor below. Thousands of workers built strange new weapons. "We'll be ready. The Council thinks we're primitive. That's their mistake." "And if we lose?" President Cooper asked quietly. "Then we lose fighting," John answered. "But I don't think we'll lose. The Council has been the biggest power for too long. They've forgotten what it's like to face someone who has nothing to lose." As they spoke, a message arrived from Ambassador Miller at the Nexus. It contained one line. "The Araxian fleet has left for Earth." The war drums would soon beat for real. 3 months passed quickly. Earth worked day and night to prepare. Then the day came. 12 Araxian warships entered the Sol system. They moved with confidence, sure of their power. Admiral Kate Peterson watched them on her screen. Her fleet of Earth ships waited at the edge of Mars' orbit. She felt her heart beating fast, but kept her face calm for her crew. "All ships, battle stations," she ordered. "But no one fires first. Let them make the first move." The massive Araxian ships slowed as they spotted the Earth fleet. Their leader, Commander Drex, sent a message to all Earth channels. "People of Earth," his reptilian face filled screens across the planet. "We come as representatives of the Galactic Council. Your planet has failed to follow proper protocols. Your ambassador has shown disrespect. We are here to help Earth transition to proper galactic citizenship. Everyone knew what that meant. The aliens wanted Earth to give up, to hand over their resources, to become servants to the Council. President Cooper stood in the Global Command Center deep under the mountains. Military leaders from every nation waited for his response. He nodded to the communications officer. "Send them our answer," he said quietly. At first, there was silence. The Araxians waited for Earth to surrender. Instead, a sound began to play on all frequencies, a steady, rhythmic beating. The sound of drums, the ancient sound that humans had used to signal war since before they built cities. The drumbeat came from every Earth ship, from every space station, from transmitters on the ground. It grew louder, stronger. Then voices joined in, thousands of them, chanting an old war song that sent chills down the spine. On his flagship, Commander Drex looked confused. "What is this noise? What does it mean?" Admiral Peterson's voice came through, calm and clear. "This is how we've announced our intentions since before we built cities. This is our answer to your demands." Drex's face showed anger. "You dare to refuse. You will regret this foolishness." He cut the connection and turned to his weapons officer. "Fire on their lead ship. Show them what happens to those who defy the Council." The Araxian ships fired their energy weapons. They expected to see Earth's lead ship explode into pieces. Instead, something strange happened. A shimmering shield appeared around the Earth vessel. The alien weapons hit it but did no damage. "Impossible," Drex shouted. "Fire again. Full power." They fired again, and again. The shield changed each time, adjusting to the different weapons. Dr. Rodriguez's technology worked perfectly. Admiral Peterson gave her next order. "All ships, battle formation Thermopylae. Begin counterattack." Earth's smaller ships moved with surprising speed. They used the asteroid belt and Mars' gravity in ways the Araxians never expected. 3 alien ships were disabled in the first 10 minutes. Drex called for reinforcements. 6 more Araxian ships arrived. But by then, Earth ships had adapted to their fighting style. The battle spread across the space around Mars. On the Nexus station, Ambassador Miller and his team watched reports of the battle with hope and fear. Lieutenant Olivia Wright's alien friends brought them secret updates. "Your people fight well," Creel said with wonder. "The Araxians have lost 5 ships now. This has never happened before." Frank nodded. "Earth has been fighting wars for thousands of years. We know a few things about combat." The battle lasted 3 days. When it ended, 7 Araxian ships were destroyed. 3 were captured. The rest fled back to Council space. Earth had won the first battle, but everyone knew the war had just begun. The Galactic Council would not take this defeat lightly. They would send more ships, bigger weapons. But Earth had something they didn't expect: the will to fight back. In the quiet after the battle, Admiral Peterson stood on her bridge. Her ship had taken damage, but they had survived. Her crew looked tired but proud. "Send a message to Earth," she said. "Tell them we've bought them time. Tell them to keep building, keep preparing. The war drums would need to beat again soon." News of the battle at Mars spread quickly. Earth called it the Sol Defense. The Council called it the Sol Incident. Whatever its name, it caused an earthquake of change through the galaxy. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. All 23 species sent their leaders. The huge meeting hall was filled with angry voices. Some blamed the Araxians for failing. Others called for an all-out war against Earth. High Commander Vexlora stood before them, her silver scales dull with shame. "This minor setback does not change anything. The humans simply caught us by surprise. Next time, we will be ready." A tall, thin alien with 6 arms spoke up. "Minor setback. They destroyed 7 of our best warships. No one has ever done that." "The humans must be crushed immediately," said Zex, the Red Zeraxian. "We should send 1,000 ships to their system, turn their planets to dust. Make them an example for any who would defy us." The council chamber filled with shouts of agreement. But then a small voice spoke. It was Teller of the Tellurian Confederation. "Perhaps," Teller said softly, but somehow everyone heard him. "Perhaps we should try talking to them instead." Silence fell over the room. Talk. To a species that had dared to fight back, it was unheard of. "The humans have shown they can fight," Teller continued. "Maybe they can also make peace, if we offer fair terms." Zex laughed harshly. "The Tellurians show their weakness again. No wonder you betrayed the humans before. You're afraid of them now." Teller looked down. "Yes, we betrayed them. And I regret it. We were wrong." More arguments filled the chamber. In the end, the council voted to send a massive fleet to Earth, but 5 species, including the Tellurians, refused to join. For the first time in 8,000 years, the council was divided. At that moment, guards brought in Ambassador Frank Miller. The council had finally allowed him to speak. Frank walked to the center of the chamber. He didn't look afraid. He didn't beg for peace. Instead, he played videos on the main screen. The videos showed Earth's wars, ancient battles with swords and shields, modern conflicts with tanks and planes, soldiers fighting in deserts, jungles, and cities, ordinary people standing against powerful enemies. "You see us as primitive," Frank said when the videos ended. "Perhaps we are. But primitive creatures fight with a strength that civilized beings have forgotten." He showed them more images. Factory floors building ships and weapons, training grounds filled with soldiers, underground bases that the council didn't know existed. "We did not want war," Frank continued, "but we have never shied from it when necessary. You mocked us. You stole from us. You thought we would surrender without a fight." He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each council leader. "You were wrong." Frank left the chamber in silence. Many council members felt fear for the first time. They had ruled the galaxy so long they forgot what it was like to face a real challenge. On the Nexus station, Lieutenant Olivia Wright met with her network of allies. Representatives from 10 primitive species gathered in a hidden room. Earth fought back and won their first battle, she told them. "The Council is sending more ships. We need help." One by one, the aliens spoke. Some offered weapons. Others offered maps of Council space. A few promised their own ships would join Earth's fleet. "We've all suffered under the Council's rule," said Creel, the blue alien. "We've all been treated as lesser beings. But no one dared to fight. Until now." Olivia nodded. "Earth stands ready to lead that fight. Not just for ourselves, but for all who want freedom." As Olivia spoke, Admiral Peterson's fleet returned to Earth. They brought captured alien ships and technology to study. Earth's scientists worked to understand everything they could before the next battle. President Cooper greeted the returning heroes personally. He shook Admiral Peterson's hand before the cameras. "This is just the beginning," he said for all to hear. "Earth will never surrender its freedom." That night, the war drums beat again across the planet. But this time, they were joined by drums from other worlds, a call for freedom that echoed across the stars. 2 months later, the Council sent their biggest fleet ever. 50 massive warships approached Earth. They expected an easy victory. They were wrong. This time, Earth was not alone. Ships from 7 other species joined them. Smaller races that the Council had bullied for centuries. The Tellurians sent their fastest ships. The blue-skinned Krelin brought weapons that could cut through any armor. Colonel John Hayes stood on the bridge of Earth's newest ship, the Defiance. The Earth fleet looked small next to the giant Council ships. But John knew size wasn't everything. "Remember your training," he told his crew. "Remember what we're fighting for." The Council fleet commander's face appeared on their screen. It was High Commander Vexlora herself. Her silver scales gleamed with anger. "This is your last chance," she hissed. "Surrender now or be destroyed." John looked at his communications officer. "Send the response." Once again, The sound of war drums filled space. But now the drums had different rhythms. Earth drums mixed with alien music. A galaxy of defiance. The battle was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Earth ships used moves from ancient sea battles. They turned space itself into a weapon. They used asteroids as shields and hiding places. Their new allies fought bravely too. Together, they confused the Council ships, which had never faced such strange tactics. John's ship took heavy damage. Fires broke out on 3 decks, but they kept fighting. His tactical officer pointed to a gap in the enemy formation. "Sir, I think we can reach their command ship." John nodded. "Full power to engines. We're going for Vexlora." The Defiance shot forward, dodging energy blasts from all sides. 3 Earth ships followed, protecting their flanks. They punched through the Council line and reached the massive flagship. "Boarding teams ready," John ordered. This was the most dangerous part of their plan. Earth soldiers in special armor launched across the space between ships. They cut through the hull of Vexlora's flagship and fought their way inside. John led them personally. He had studied alien ship layouts for months. He knew exactly where to go. They fought through corridors, facing alien guards with superior weapons. But the humans moved in ways the aliens didn't expect. They climbed walls. They used smoke and noise to confuse the enemy. Finally, they'd reached the command center. High Commander Vexlora stood tall, surrounded by her officers. "You dare to invade my ship," she snarled. "I will tear you apart myself." John stepped forward, his weapon ready. "Surrender, Commander. This war can end now." Vexlora laughed. "End? It has barely begun. The Council has ruled for 20,000 years. You are nothing." "Maybe," John said, "but free people fighting for their homes are stronger than slaves fighting for masters." The battle on the flagship lasted another hour. When it ended, High Commander Vexlora was captured. The Council fleet fell into confusion without her leadership. Many ships surrendered. Others fled. 5 years passed. The war that began at Mars spread across the galaxy. People called it the Freedom Wars. Hundreds of planets joined Earth's alliance. They fought for the right to rule themselves, to keep their own resources, to live with dignity. Today, a new Galactic Council was meeting. Not in the old Nexus station, but on a new station built by all species together. Every world had an equal vote now. Frank Miller, now called High Representative Miller, stood before them. His hair had more gray now, but his eyes still showed the same strength. "5 years ago, we came to you in peace and were met with contempt," he said to the gathered representatives. "We fought for our survival and earned your respect. Now we offer our hand in true partnership." He paused as a single drumbeat echoed through the chamber. "But remember, the drums remain ready." The new council voted to approve the Equal Worlds Doctrine. No species would rule over another. No planet's resources could be taken without fair payment. As the meeting ended, representatives from 24 worlds joined humans in a ceremonial drumming. The rhythm that once signaled Earth's defiance now became a galactic symbol of freedom. Vexlora, now living under house arrest on Earth, watched the ceremony on a screen. "I still don't understand," she said to her human guard. "How did you defeat us? We were stronger." The guard smiled. "You were never listening. When we beat the war drums, we weren't just threatening you. We were reminding ourselves who we are. Humans never fight harder than when someone tells us we can't win."